behalf of PMQ, I want to thank Eric and Melissa for having us here, and we really appreciate it. This has been a great evening. And now what I want to do without delaying is get into a bit of a discussion with 4 people in the pizza business who have varied backgrounds, but who have years and years of experience. So let me just real briefly introduce. I think Melissa has already kind of introduced folks, but we have here on the far my right, your left, Richard Daddy-O Ames, who is visiting us from Alberta, Canada, and operates Daddy-O's Pizzeria in Alberta. We have Steve Hitchcock, who is not too far away in Steamboat Springs and owns Soda Creek Pizza. Of course, we have our beautiful hostess, Melissa, and we have Mike LaMarca right here from Ohio. So without further ado, let's get into a discussion about so much is going on in the pizza industry. And I know a lot of you folks are interested in business, and so I think what the folks are going to have to say is going to be interesting to you. And I'm going to try and let them just get into a discussion and kind of stay out of it. But let's get started. Let's talk about what's going on with an important issue in the pizzeria industry, which is wages. There's a lot of talk about raising the minimum wage in different areas of the country. Daddy-O, you're coming from Canada, so you have a unique perspective on it. You may have some information that is useful to us in America. And let's talk about what wages are going to mean to the pizzeria business and to the restaurant business.
The province of Alberta just elected a left-wing government that won their election partly on the promise of a $15 an hour minimum wage. And they want to have this implemented by 2018. Now, the current minimum wage there is $10.20 an hour. So we're already pushing hard to make a profit with those kind of minimum wages. You can imagine what we have to pay someone with experience. Now, just some rough and dirty calculations that I did when I was afraid of this government coming in. I figure that I would have to raise my price to maintain my profit margin. I would have to raise my price by about 20%. And right now, the industry that is in my community is basically oil-based. And with the value of oil in the tank, it may end up meaning that I cut hours, I cut staff, or my family does it all, and we just keep the money for ourselves.
Right. Steve, what's your perspective on this?
I do business in a resort community, and we've already got somewhat higher wages than a lot of the other markets in the U.S. So $15, if that's the topic of the discussion, is really not that far out of sight. And in fact, nearly half my crew makes that. So the interesting question to me is whether any regulation that comes in is going to apply pretty much across the board to all types of businesses, or if it's going to be segmented according to how many employees you have or how big you are. As the new regulations, I think it's Washington State that's done it that way. And that creates a kind of an imbalance in the marketplace in terms of competing for employees. And I guess I really see it more as competing for employees than competing for sales, because that's the issue where we are, is how do you get the quality people and get them to stay with you?
Right. Let's go to Melissa.
These two gentlemen said it very well. I mean, it's very true. And if it's $15 for a dishwasher, how much does your Stromboli cost in the end? I'm not sure how the market will bear it, and I don't know how our customers will take the price increase. And then it all becomes relative, because if the dishwasher makes $15 an hour, now you have a skilled worker who makes $15, and that's not enough either. So they need to pay, they need to pay a raise as well. And then we're right back in the same boat. I think the $15 an hour now is just like the $8. It doesn't change anything. It just moves everything up more.
Um, I've been in business for 15 years, and when I first started, I can't remember what the minimum wage was, but every some odd years we go through this debate. And one of the things that we've done in our company is we've always been two things. We've paid the people that we start off at minimum wage, everybody, except our drivers and servers. We start above minimum wage. So we pay our servers $6 an hour and our drivers $7 an hour. So that's really not going to affect what we do, because we start them off because we just feel that like our servers do more and our drivers do more than the $2.13, which is, okay, I think it's $3 something, whatever it is. But we always been creative, and I think that we kind of stayed ahead of the curve by giving them more responsibilities and paying them a little bit more initially. So when it goes up, we're still within that margin, you know. And one of the things that we've done also is we pay a minimum of about $12 an hour for each of our staff currently that is that we consider part of our lead team or above. And one of the things that you just got to be kind of creative and ahead of the curve. Like if this goes up to $15 an hour and you're worrying about it now, you know, in business, you should be seeing this a year ago, actually, when they first started talking about a year and a half ago, and start it now. And immediately what you do is, you know, they're doing the advertising for you. So we raise our prices without hesitation. And we tell our customers, look, they're raising minimum wage. I mean, and they already know. I mean, it's not like it's a shock. We're saying, hey, we're starting it now. We raised our prices already. We're battling it now. So when it happens, it's not going to be much of an issue for us. And I think when it's all over the news and all over the media, they do the advertising for you, that, you know, you don't really have to educate your customers at why you're raising your price. So that's kind of like, I don't know, kind of like what we've done.
Now, if we could only get the media to cover the price of cheese.
Yeah.
One of the things that I often see questioned as to, okay, if your minimum wage goes to $15 an hour, how are you going to, what's your graduation scale? How are you going to make it fair to the people who were making $15 an hour when it was $10 an hour? How do you give everybody that same amount of money raise? Do you do it on a percentage of your wage? You know, it's, how do you be fair to your faithful employees?
What we've always done is if it's a, you know, one of the things that problems I have with the $15 is arbitrary. I mean, why 15? Why not 18? Why not 12? It's just a crazy number in my opinion, but it doesn't make sense. Like, why? I mean, I don't know. It's not we get into that later, but what we've always done, if it's a 10% increase, you know, because it doesn't go from $8.10 to 15, it goes 8 to 8.75 or 9, whatever it is. So we keep that increase, you know, percentage would go up, and our prices go up with that same percentage. You have to. I mean, it's a game. It's like, you know, when that little bit goes up here, there, you know, you gotta.
So what you're saying is all minimum wage increases is a catalyst for inflation.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just nothing we can. It is. I mean, it's just
It has to happen that way.
Yeah, I mean, I got to keep our labor at 30%. You know, and it's just. Yeah, I mean, that's how we combat it.
Do you see a minimum wage increase also affecting the product costs, your input costs of the product?
Yeah, it's costing everybody more to do business. So everything goes up. So, I mean, and that's your time to strike, to raise your price. You know, I mean, they don't need to know why. They see it in the grocery store. They see it in the gas station. They see it when they buy products and services. It's, you know, your food bill from Cisco or US Foods has a gas credit now on it, $5, what have you. And that popped up a couple years ago because gas was expensive. Well, gas has since dropped, but that thing is still on there, right?
Exactly.
So, you know, one of the things we did, you just gotta, I mean, it is a catalyst, and you just gotta, and one of the things you just be confident in your product, that you're serving the best product that you could possibly serve, and it's a battle that I'm just, I feel is such a waste of time sometimes, because it's just like, just leave it alone. And we're, you know what I mean? It's just like, but yeah, I mean, there's so many other reasons why to raise the cost of our menus that in labor is just, it's hard. It's so hard, but you got to do it.
Let me turn this to another federal regulation issue that's been in the news, and that's menu labeling. And we just learned that the FDA is going to table that requirement for restaurants to do menu labeling for an extra year. Please tell me what you guys think about menu labeling and how that's going to affect your business.
Actually, I think it's a good thing. And the reason I think it's a good thing is because people are more conscious about what it is they're eating. I started basically with my gluten-free, figuring out exactly what was on it, the whole protein level and all of your FDA requirements. And people appreciate the fact that they can phone and say, okay, can you break down your calories and your amount of protein and all this on this gluten-free pizza? Well, once you've got customers asking for it and you can do it and your neighbor can't, then they're going to come to you.
How do you go about doing that? Do you have to hire a lab to analyze your food, or how does that process work?
There are software products available that will help you with it. And the reality is, if you really wanted to work at it yourself, an Excel spreadsheet and all of the information from your suppliers, because your suppliers have to have that information on the products they're selling you. So you break down your recipe just like you would for your food costs. You break down your recipe knowing exactly what goes into a pizza, and you've got your Excel spreadsheet. You sit down and hammer it out. It's not really that difficult.
In fact, if you have U.S. Foods, I don't know if you guys buy from U.S. Foods or any of you guys buy from U.S. Foods, as a customer on the back of usfoods.com, you can create a menu item, and it'll give you obviously the menu cost, but there's also a program that will give you the nutrition breakdown. It's going to be hard, because how do you tell someone when they walk up to a counter to a 18-year-old kid or a 16-year-old kid that orders a large pepperoni mushroom sausage what it is? You know, the calorie count on that is per slice or per pie. And then he's like, no, I gotta, is he gonna figure that out there? And no, I switch it to I want just pepperoni and extra cheese. Is there gonna be a software that, as you're keying it in, giving you that calorie count on the software? So maybe that's something that the POS software can take a lead on and kind of break it down in your. I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna figure out how much calories in a large pepperoni sausage pizza on the fly on a Friday night. I mean, because I could tell you what a large plain would be. But, once you start putting toppings on, I mean, it could go anywhere. So someone could put 5 toppings on a pizza, and yours are 5 different ones, and yours are 5 different ones.
Now, this is something that I had talked to our regulators up there about, because people come in and say, well, I want extra. And the position that they're taking in Canada right now is, if it's not your regular menu item, in other words, if you haven't got it listed on your website, on your piece of paper, whatever, it's the customer's responsibility to know what they're ordering. It's your responsibility to give them the information on what is actually on that menu.
This is maybe is a good segue. I wanted to ask you guys about, but the hottest trend in the pizza industry is the fast casual trend with pizza, and that's kind of an effort on their part to customize and make to order pizza. And you're just talking about using ingredients and responding to customers' needs. What's your feeling about the rise of the fast casual trend in the pizza industry?
I think it has its place. Boulder is definitely a community where fast casual has really dominated the market. A lot of places like Olive Garden and other full-service restaurants have kind of left town. I feel that there's a market for it, but I feel that you can combat that with quality food, quality ingredients, quality ambiance. I think if you give people an experience, they're going to choose it every time. Now, obviously, there's a point where, you know, hey, I got a half hour to eat. I'm not coming to Holy Stromboli. I'm not going somewhere where it's going to take me, you know, 45 minutes to an hour to eat. But I do think that time and time again, quality, passion about food, passion about the experience, the staff, that wins every time. And so I don't, we're not real fast casual eaters. We do like the experience wherever we go. So I think there's I think there's still a spot for everybody in the business.
Steve, we've talked about your approach at Soda Creek, and you're kind of providing some specialty pizzas that are unusual and high quality toppings. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I guess I'm not seeing the link to the fast casual topic, but ever since the day we opened, we've always tried to include some less conventional choices on our menu for a variety of reasons. And really, in the earlier conversation that we had, foremost in my mind is the differentiation of our business from the other choices that a customer has in our market. And so the day we opened, we had smoked trout as a pizza topping. We've had rattlesnake, alligator, buffalo. We currently offer wild boar and elk and Alaskan sockeye salmon. And on the one hand, they have their place on our menu and that they generate revenue. And so they do need to carry their own weight in that respect. But they also give us something to talk about in the marketplace that is different than what any of our competitors are talking about. And so it becomes a marketing question. And in a noisy environment where a lot of different businesses are talking about their business, you'll find that they all tend to say the same thing. And to take it out of the pizza realm and into, let's say, banking, they say, oh, we have local decision making, we're involved in the community, and we care about your business. And then you hear the commercial from the next bank and says, we have local decision making, and we are involved in the local community, and we care about your business. And you could make a similar checklist for pizza. The fact that we can go out and talk about right now that we have an Alaskan sockeye salmon pizza on the radio or in the newspaper gives us something that immediately makes us different. And even if the customer is not attracted to that specific item, we've elevated our visibility or their awareness of our business.
That's great. Mike, did you? I know you're working on your menu.
Yeah, well, the fast casual, I look at it. Well, you have to look at all restaurants as competition and all segments as competition. I don't. I mean, I kind of look at it. Of course, it's another pizza place, but you got to kind of look at it as a style of service, and I almost compare it to the Chipotle, that kind of, so someone's already going to go to that kind of restaurant and not to us. So I believe that there's comfort in that, but also I was saying earlier that, our country orders pizza a certain way already. And I think that's a positive for our industry that there's another way of ordering it. I think that fast casual gives more people, it raises our industry that I think it'd be very good for lunch. I think it'd be very positive for high traffic areas with a lot of people walking. But I just don't think on a Friday night when your kids come home after a football game at the high school and they want to have a pizza party, they're going to order 8 pizzas from a fast casual pizza place. They're going to order 8 pizzas from a pizzeria that they're used to ordering, So I think that our spot is still safe. It's just another form of competition, and it's just another form of way that you have to make sure you're still doing what you do well. If you look at all the competition out there, you'll go nuts. You know what I mean? I just don't know. I mean, you just go nuts. So one of the things that we just kind of do at our company is we could only take care of what we can take care of. And when they're in our door, we take care of them. So hopefully they'll come back for that experience again. And I think there's a place for it, a fast casual. I think it's a great idea. I think it's not going to hurt us. I think there's a spot for it. I think it's going to elevate our pizza. The more pizza we can sell, the better off we are as an industry.
Right.
The fast casual in my particular case, I don't see it as a threat to my business because I run takeout and delivery. Only 20% of my customers actually walk through my front door to order. They've already made up their mind. They've picked up the phone. They've ordered. And the reality is it's no different than fast casual other than the fact that they're standing and saying, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that. They can look at a picture on my website and say, I want that, I want that, I want that, and make the order. So I think it's a flash in the pan. There are areas where it will do good. There are areas like my area, it would be totally pointless.
Right.
And I like Michael's point. I mean, we focus on what we do. We do what we do, and we do it the best we can. If you're always worrying about what the guy next door is doing, you're not focusing on what you're doing. I mean, all the time people say, oh, my God, you share a parking lot with Pizza Hut. What is that like? They have their clientele. You're not going to call Holy Stromboli and order 20-inch pizzas for your daughter's slumber party. You're not. You're going to go buy cheap pizzas and get those girls fed. In return, you're not going to take your wife to Valentine's Day dinner at Pizza Hut. Well, you better not, right? Or you're going to be in trouble.
Well, we can agree to disagree on some things.
Well, is that why you're always traveling?
Can we talk about how you are using technology, though, to upgrade your businesses or be more productive? When I say technology, I'm talking about POS systems and online ordering and so forth.
I'm a firm believer in technology. We have a company that's we've been in business since 1955, and we were built on everything but technology back in the day. And when I started taking over, my father we'd meet at a local coffee shop or wherever, and we sit down and he pull out a yellow legal pad and a pencil, and I find a plug to plug in my laptop, and he always says, this is where we're going. So you gotta, technology's here. It's not going away. You have to accept it. It's gonna plow you over if you don't accept it. Technology is the way to go. And the day we used to have a cash register, and then we key it in, and we take the ticket, key it in, and it was just so antiquated. But the day we got our POS system, it was a pivot point, and you could immediately see the sales increase just by simply everything got keyed in, and it organizing our store. And technology has allowed us to grow. It's eliminated a lot of the work I used to do with accounting. Was it the 20th of the month in Ohio, you got to send your sales use tax, whatever it is. Literally, I would have to add up everyday sales, get the tax out of there, and separate the beverage tax and the food tax, blah, blah, blah. And now I hit literally 5 keys. I hit send, and it goes to my accountant, and it takes 4 minutes, and that's me pouring a cup of coffee while I set it up. So technology is so important. I mean, it makes the experience for the customer easier. Online ordering, our percentage is about 6% more from a phone call. From online ordering, we do about 6% more per ticket average. We first started off on online ordering, we do about 1 or 2% of the night, and now we're about 18 to 25% of sales each night. And what that does is just frees up that log jam on the phone and in the kitchen where it's just, mashed pizza, can you hold, please? Mashed pizza, can you hold? It's just kind of it kind of settles things down. And technology, I think, we built the new part of our company on technology, and it's really done wonders for us.
I started with 3-part order forms and a ceramic roller with glue on the back of the sticker that would go on the box in the 1970s. And I opened my restaurant a little over 16 years ago in Steamboat, and we opened with Prism by Microworks, and we're still with them. I love it. And everything that you have said about, the streamlining of your business is true. The accurate information of what you're actually selling, the correlation of labor hours to production hours, how many pizzas per hour, how many other items are we selling, when did we have people scheduled, my general manager can go and look at last year and see basically when does the business fall off this week. The business falls off. Okay, this week we're busy until about 8, but by 8:15 there's a clear decline, and they can incorporate that in the scheduling, so it helps with efficiency on labor cost. We have online ordering and credit card clearing that's all integrated with the POS. I can't imagine doing business without it. It's as indispensable as the oven.
One of the things that I have struggled with the technology is at what price point? Where do you draw the line as to, hey, this isn't value for its money? And it all depends on how big you are, what you're doing. I mean, there's the build your own system out there that will be leaps and bounds ahead of a cash register and not cost you an arm and a leg. And there's the Cadillac systems that you can go out and say, oh, well, this street isn't on the map yet. Let's just draw it in. So you're able to take that technology to start with whatever level you need. And if you're not using technology in your business, man, you are in big trouble because you don't have the information to know where you're sitting in your business as far as what you've used for food costs, what your labor costs are.
What your product mix is, what you're selling, what you're not
Exactly.
selling. It helps you engineer your menu. Use your quadrant system and what's high margin and moves off the shelf, and what's low margin and doesn't. And you can make those decisions based on a guess, or emotionally make those decisions, or say I really like that item, or you could look in your POS and go, it's right there in black and white. We got to kick this one. So I mean, it's really valuable to us. Your numbers, your information, you can't get to your destination without a map. I mean, is really what it is. And it's the same thing. You can't run your business if you don't know where you're going or where you've been. And our GM does the same thing. He looks, last year historically, our staff will say, God, it's really slow today. I think it's slower this year than last year. And you pull up the menus or the POS and you're 20% higher. And you're like, no, you're just used to, what business was like last week or whatever the deal is. But it's so helpful to have that information. We've never functioned without one. We're only 5 years old. So we had one from inception, and I'm not really sure how we would have done it without one.
Let's go from high tech to simple quality of life question. And I've had this discussion with a couple of you, and we're here in beautiful Colorado, and we're going to document some travels with y'all in some beautiful countryside. And I'm wondering, the pizzeria industry is such a work-intensive environment. And what do you think about the need to have hobbies or diversify what you do, or get away, just purely get away from the work environment sometimes?
I deal with this a lot. We have kind of again, how we do things is, if you're on the clock, I want you at 100%. You need a day off. You need 2 days off. You need time off. And if you don't know that you're not functioning at 100%. For example, you might be a little edgy, you might be a little rude or short, and you're just tired, or you're missing your kids or your wife, and you need a time off. And one of the things that we talk about typically, in the last couple of weeks I've been working, kind of traveling around and talking to some of the people that we are friends with. And the first thing I say is, you walk in, you can see you're just doing everything. You're just literally doing everything. You're the cook, the bean counter, the dishwasher. You're everything. You got to you got to put people in place that you could trust to get you out of there a day or two a week, and you'll realize you're way more efficient when you're at work, because when you work 7 days a week, day and night, you're like, I have time to do that later. But when you take the time off and you force yourself to get out, you're like, man, it's almost 5 o'clock. I got to get done. I got to finish this up. So you find yourself working a lot more efficiently, and and you're way more productive, and you're just more pleasant to be around. I used to be that guy that worked open to close day and night and day, and and you're gonna definitely set a roadblock in front of you. You won't be able to grow. You're not going to be able to take your business to the next level. Going from one store to two stores, to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, you can't be everywhere and every minute of the day at all these stores. You have to have people in place that, you check the checker, and you know what I mean? You got to make sure the person in charge that's who you're checking, and they're checking everybody else below them. Yeah, you got to have that quality of life. You got to have it, day with your kids, a weekend day, or whatever time you feel necessary is to have off.
And it's hard to get to that point because you get so wrapped up and you don't realize, okay, I've worked, maybe 15, 20 days straight. I've worked 14 hours a day, and it just becomes your norm. And I think the challenge also is because that's our norm. Eric works a full-time job, and then he comes to the restaurant on his time off. It's sometimes you forget not everybody works at that pace, and so you really have to work hard to keep grounded and say, okay, these guys can't work like I do. You can't expect that. So that's a challenge that you really have to remember, that you can't work your people like you work. But to get time for yourself is really hard. And we've been 86th from our own restaurant at points where Larry, our general manager, is like, you're 86th, you're going home. And I'm like, but I have all this work to do. But to your point, what you don't realize is, by that 8th day that you've worked, you're grumpy, you're tired, you're not on point, you're not, seeing everything the way you should see it. But at the end of the day, I know for me, I have this guilt thing where I think, oh, well, this person, Eric, is working 2 jobs, so I've got to outwork him because this is my baby, right? So because it's mine, I have to work more than anyone else. And I think it takes a really long time to overcome that.
It's like a lesson. I think that you gotta definitely you gotta understand that you're doing that to yourself and your family and your people and your customers. It's if you see someone working in your restaurant and they're edgy to a customer, you get really upset, but you may not understand that you're actually being edgy yourself. So you just gotta definitely have a day off, and you gotta get to the point where you can have it structured and organized properly, and where you can trust the people that are there and literally take a day off. And quality of life, then you enjoy it. Then you can't wait to get back there. You become refreshed, and you. I tell you, when I go on vacation, I have my iPhone. I'm looking at things, and my foot's tapping, and I'm okay. This is great. It's Tuesday. I wanna get back to going, but you take that week off or so, and then you're just even so much better at what you do when you come back.
When I started up, I figured I have to be open every day except Christmas. And I have to be there from open to close every day that I'm open. And I tell you, that gets old real fast. And then I started thinking about it. Why did the government legislate that there shall be holidays? It's because you need the time off. So guess what? I close my store every statutory holiday. And yeah, I'm leaving money on the table, but you know what? My staff love me for it. They get to go out and have their Thanksgiving dinner with their family. They get to go and have, at Christmas time, we have this screwed up holiday in Canada. It's called Boxing Day. It's the day after Christmas. So my staff get Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, the whole day, Boxing Day, the whole day, and if those 3 days fall consecutive to a Sunday, they get the Sunday off as well. So they may get 4 days. I have had my staff, one staff member in particular ran a pizza place in Eastern Canada, and she came and she said, so what are my holiday hours so I can plan it? And I said, your holiday hours are, we're closed. She actually cried. She says, this is the first Christmas that I ever have been able to spend with my family.
It's really important because I think money shouldn't be your number one goal. Money is a great side effect of living your passion, living your dream. And I think it's commendable. We are closed on holidays as well. And yeah, it hurts, right? I mean, your week sales for the week are down, and that's kind of stinky, but it's not, at the end of the day, it didn't kill you. And what it gains you is the appreciation of your staff and them knowing that you value them enough to give them the time with your family. I think that's so important, is that family should always come first. Yes, there are times when it can't, and especially as the owner, but for your staff, for them to have that day and for them to know that that's important to you as well is priceless.
I guess doing business in a resort community, I have a little different perspective on holidays. And we are, in fact, closed on Christmas, but holidays are when we earn a living. We just came through the 4th of July. Labor Day is a big one. Easter is a big one. Spring break kind of ties into that. And so being closed on the holiday is completely out of the question for us for the most part. Those are some of the best days of the year. But the thing that I would like to echo was the issue of trust and getting the kind of people that you can trust in your store so that you can actually walk out the door and let go of it to a certain extent. And as a business owner, you never completely let go of it. It's always kind of floating in the back of your mind there. But if you have people on hand that you feel confident in, that you believe are going to make good decisions, that does allow you to get a little bit of distance from the business. And those people cost a little bit more money. A lot of it is dependent on you and your choice of staff, but also the fact of giving the trust and the training to go along with it. The other related topic that I was percolating in my mind that I wanted to bring up, one aspect of getting away from the business is actually getting time out of the store. The other is breaking up what you do in the store. And so I think all of us, if we're in our business, can become, just almost so short-sighted that everything that we're doing is right in front of our face, and we fail to get the kind of distance from our operations that it takes to make decisions and to be creative. And so on the think tank, this has come up in a number of times. People are talking about it. And, one of the things that I've advised people to do is to carve out a defined amount of time in the week and spend that time out in your community and getting to know people. Spend that time deliberately thinking about marketing ideas, or spend that time in some way that's not making pizza, it's not doing the books, it's not cleaning something, it's not writing orders, it's not writing a schedule, but give your brain the opportunity to work on different problems.
You mentioned getting out in the community, and that's related to the topic we're talking about. Can you, all of you, expand on that a little bit more, how important it is to be part of your community?
Sure. I most important thing to me, community-wise, is I'm very active in our Rotary Club. And probably most of you live in a community that has a Rotary Club. It's a tremendous organization. It does a lot of useful things. It's very beneficial to me in that I like to give back to my community. I like to be engaged with other people who are, for the most part, either business owners or in positions of responsibility in businesses. And I get good ideas. I get brain food participating in that. And as a fringe benefit, my business is more visible. There certainly is a business benefit, but that's not the reason to do it for me.
We're really active in our community in that we're in a small town, and for a while our town was kind of shrinking, and it made it us really sad. I mean, we have a great community. Lately, with the influx of oil money has really helped our community, and they're very active in the community. We ourselves, we have a great downtown area that we'd like to see thrive one day. So whenever we have the opportunity to bring a concert downtown on the street, or a festival, or a junior pizza competition, anything that we can do to let the community know that we care, that we're a part of the community, we live here, is good. It's good for you. It's good for your soul. It's not just good for your business, but it's good for your soul. And if it's good for your soul, it's going to reflect in your business. And, for Eric and I, initially it wasn't about the money. It was about living, your purpose, your passion, whatnot. And I believe through that comes the money. That's the happy side effect. But it's so satisfying, when you do things for your community, and people appreciate it, and then they come to your restaurant because they appreciate it. It's just great to be a part of a community. So we do a lot of things to benefit them.
You know, it goes even further than being a member of a club or sponsoring events. It can even be as simple as, okay, I have to go shopping for this item. I have a choice of mom and pop shop down on Main Street that my shadow hasn't crossed their door in 2 years, or I can go to a box store. Make the choice, go to the mom and pop shop, and let them know that you're a mom and pop shop. Let them know that you're there to support them, and it'll come back to you.
The thing in the community, real quick, back to the holidays. I look at everything as when they come through your door, it's an experience, and we're closed every holiday: Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving, every holiday. And what I look at it as, say you have your manager, his wants to be with his mom on Mother's Day, or his wife on Mother's Day with his kids. Someone's going to come in and he might again be short or be, upset that he's got to be here and that the owner's at home. So if it comes back tenfold with your employees, and your customers are really happy that they appreciate that you go home. They appreciate that. But the community thing that we really put an emphasis and a lot of resources towards community. We each week, 2 days a week, we take about 10 to 15 pizzas out of our store and we drop them off at businesses randomly with our menu. And if I tell you that 85% of those people call within the same week, I'm lowballing it. 100% within 2 weeks. Every week, every Tuesday, Wednesday, so they call Thursday, Friday. We do about 10 to 15 pizzas every, however we can schedule it, and to get in the community, they love it. They don't know when lunch is going to get dropped off to them. We also do huge with the Chamber of Commerce, huge with, we always say yes to sponsor a hole. We always say yes to, but we just don't sponsor a hole. When I say like we're involved with the community, we'll put a person on that golf hole and we'll make a contest out of it. If they hit the ball and they land on the green, they get a free pizza gift certificate. So when you say, you've got to get involved with the community, here's $150, we'll sponsor a hole for your golf outing. Well, there's two things. There's advertising and there's marketing. Advertising is putting that sign on the golf hole, and marketing is shaking everyone's hand that comes up to that. And we're real big with marketing in the local community. And I think marketing is more important than advertising in the local community. And once you could get, they always kid around like I'm out shaking hands and kissing babies, but it's your city has like the festival. Every festival in every city that we're in, selling pizza by the slice, cheaper than everybody else because we're looking out for the families and people appreciate that. So it's not like we're gouging them at $6 a slice. We're $2, $3 a slice for a big slice of pizza. And, you see a regular customer with their kids, you give it to them. And when you're really involved, they know you, they know your family, they know your business, they know your people in your business. And when you can really weave yourself into the fabric of the community, it's potential. Like you said, you got to do it. And it's so beneficial.
Talking about responding to the community, I wanted to ask you guys about what you might be doing with gluten-free and other specialty programs like that.
I'll handle this real quick. We do nothing with gluten-free. We do nothing with low carb. We do nothing with any of that. When you want to cheat, you'll call me. What we found out is when people want pizza, they want the best pizza they can get. And we have a promise that whenever you put your money on our counter, we're going to give you the best product we can give you. And my brand and my product, we spend a lot of time and years putting it together. Gluten-free is not our product. Carb-free, low carb is not our product. Go down the street, call me when you want to cheat. I just think when you do what you do and do it well, and that's why we don't have burgers. We don't have this. We have pizza. When you want pizza, when you want the best pizza, you call us or any of these guys on the panel or your shops. But
best pizza.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting. I had Michael's philosophy 100%. Eric and I were determined that we weren't going to do anything gluten-free. And then we received letters from local residents here saying, please, please, my whole family's gluten-free. We have nowhere to eat. Would you please consider? So we considered kind of begrudgingly, and we're like, okay, we'll do the token pizza. We spent 3 years developing our brand and our business before we even signed a lease. And I ate a lot of wheat and a lot of pasta and a lot of dough. Became pretty sick. Eric did some research, said maybe I ought to cut out the dough. And I did for a whole year. And in that time, I realized, wow, this does suck. Like, there's nowhere to eat, you know, and everyone's having appetizers and everyone's having these great meals. And I got a chicken breast, and that's fantastic. And I made it my mission. Now, I can eat wheat again. It was kind of like an overdose situation, but there are all kinds of ranges of gluten-free intolerances, you know, allergies, or just people who want to jump on the bandwagon. Whatever the case is, my philosophy is that they deserve an equally as delicious meal as the rest of their family or their friends. So we do the whole gamut. And because you say, if you're going to do it right, we do. We have the very best gluten-free doughs, gluten-free pastas. You can't even tell the difference. And I will tell you, we're the only place that you can get a gluten-free stromboli. So we do the whole gamut. We've got appetizer to dessert, so that you don't have to pick apart your meal to decide what part of it you're going to eat. You want a pizza, you want a calzone, you want a stromboli, you got it. You want pasta, you got it. You want cake, you got it. It's a little more work, and it's a lot of training. We have to have a gluten-free training program, and we have to have special green plates. So all of our utensils for gluten-free are green. All of our plates are green. But that sends a message to the guests that we really care about their needs. And it's been very successful for us. So now we're published in gluten-free, magazines and websites and all that sort of thing. So it kind of happened by accident, but it's been really good for us. It's a little extra cost. We don't gouge the guest for it. We pass along the cost. So if a gluten-free pizza crust is $4 to us, it's an additional $4 to you. And, we just call it that.
We make dough from scratch, as I'm sure you guys do. We have one kitchen. We have one set of counters. We have one set of tools. And the way I understand the challenge for people who are truly allergic, in other words, they're going to go into anaphylactic shock if they encounter wheat gluten. We are very careful to say that we do not offer a product for them. And we make no attempt to offer a product from them. But similarly, we had lots of requests for it. And in a manager meeting, actually not that long ago, when I asked my managers, it's sort of the feedback section, what are you hearing? That was the number one thing. They said, we get asked again and again and again. And so what we offer is a gluten-free pizza crust. But as I said, we make no statement, no claim, and in fact, no real effort to go beyond that. So there is flour in the environment. I like to say that when we open the computers and we get out the little cans of compressed air to clean them out, guess what's inside the computer?
Flour.
There's no way.
My granddaughter calls that dough dust.
Yeah.
And I just think it's important that
it's an identifiable market niche, and it reached the sort of the level of demand that we felt we needed to fulfill it.
I think it's important what you just said, and that's why we're so adamant about not doing it, is because we don't have the environment for it. And we don't want to play that. We can't. Our stores are 2,000 square feet, and we do not have. We have one dough machine, one oven, double stack ovens, pans, one make lines. We don't want to.
What I will tell you though is that we get orders. They call up. They say, "Do you have gluten free?" Yes, we do have a gluten free crust, and we train very carefully that everybody that works in our place can accurately describe what we offer and what we don't have. But we get offered orders where they say, okay, well, we'll take our most popular famous combination, snow in Texas. We'll take a 14-inch gluten-free snow in Texas, and we'd like a couple of big dogs and a pepperoni and 2 dozen chicken wings. And we would never have gotten the entire order if we hadn't had that gluten-free option to add to the order.
It's really true. And, the other thing that's important is to have a disclaimer on your menu. We say to people, look, you're in a flour-rich environment. It is in the air. It is on our hands, our clothes. It's probably on some of our toppings. So if you're going to die, if you have gluten, probably not a good idea. So just be careful and know that you may have a little bit of contamination, and usually people are good with that. But I tell you, the market share is huge. Like I said, and those people will bring their friends and they will tell everybody. And quite often you have one person in the family that's gluten-free, and like you said, you get this, huge ticket off of it because they brought their family where they probably would have gone somewhere else. But I do agree with you. You either have to decide it's important or it's not. It is a commitment. It is, it's expensive. The dishes, the training, everything that goes along with it. It's not easy. So,
You gotta go all in.
Go ahead, Rick.
Just to punctuate it brings in other business point. I had about 2 weeks ago, a customer came in and ordered a single gluten-free pizza. The next day, that same customer ordered 4 gluten-free pizzas and 32 large pizzas. Worth my time.
yes.
At this point, we're keeping it simple. We offer one size in gluten-free.
That's the best thing.
Same
to do.
here.
Well, I want to ask you about another. We were talking about people relaxing, and since I got a couple Colorado pizzeria owners and somebody that spent some time in Colorado, what about the state of the legality of marijuana in Colorado? Is that having any impact on your?
I don't know about you
Pizza.
guys, but I'm so over traveling and people going, hey, do you put pot on your pizza? I mean, and that's always the first question is, what about marijuana?
Where's the dispensary?
Right. Can you put marijuana in your dough? No. I mean, the legalities, the regulations, it is so heavily regulated by the government that you have to have a radio tag on every plant that you produce. So no, we don't put marijuana infused dough or toppings, or anything in our stores. For us, I think the biggest change that we've seen is, these operators that operate dispensaries they're making bank. They're making a lot of money, and they like to come eat good food. And so we have a handful of guests that, that do very well, and they come spend their money here. On the other side, I don't think we've seen a lot of people like, oh, dude, really have the munchies, except for the other night. These 2 dudes walked in, and they were like clearly, and I walked up to their table, and they had 2 24-inch strombolis, one to themselves each. And I was like, gonna eat that? And they're like, oh, yeah, dude, this is great. And I was like, okay, now I'm seeing it. Now it's starting to trickle in, so I guess in that respect, it's good. It doesn't, we don't really care either way. It's a political thing, and we just try to stay out of it. But
I will say that for us, one thing that it really simplified is that now we can treat marijuana exactly the same as alcohol. There's no difference. There's no sort of contrivance of how to handle the issue with employees differently. And we say the rules are the same. You can't have it at work. You can't be under the influence at work. If you are, you're gone. And if you come to work drunk, you're gone. You come to work high, you're gone. And that actually seems to have been easier to communicate to employees than it used to be, where it was kind of legal. Oh, do you have a medical card?
And then you had to tiptoe around the issue, and the ADA thing and whatever. And then I think for us, we have like a 4-hour kind of window, so you can't smoke dope 4 hours before you come to work, that sort of thing. But
it's not allowed in the restaurant under any circumstances. If it is in the restaurant and a manager is aware of it, the employee is gone and the manager is gone.
So one of my think tank friends from Canada, when he found out I was coming down here, he sent me a private message, and he said, hey, there's something down there that's legal that isn't legal up here. And I said, handguns?
I have no comment on this.
So we're not putting marijuana on the pizza, but what are we doing to diversify our pizza, offer fresh new pizza combinations? Just your creativity in trying to be pizza makers. Can you talk about that a little?
okay, so here's the deal, right? And I've said this before, and if you know me, you know that I'm a pepperoni girl. I mean, that's all I need. Cheese or pepperoni, maybe sausage. But that has been a challenge for me because I grew up on the East Coast, and you don't put pineapple on your pizza. They'll kick you out of the state. Like, that doesn't work. That and your fork, you can go. But having to open yourself up to what other people like the sriracha craze, I think it's crazy. I think sriracha on a pizza is the most insane thing I've ever heard, but I did it because that's what people like. You know, chicken and cream cheese on a pizza, jalapenos, whatever. You just have to kind of keep your ear to the ground. And I don't like to follow trends. So I don't go, oh, what's Pizza Hut doing? Let's do that. In fact, our sriracha pizza, I just noticed like potato chips and all this stuff. So I said, guys, we got to do sriracha pizza. We did the sriracha pizza, and this is really great. Pizza Hut's menus got mailed to us because they're next door. So I open up the box, and there's their menus, right? Of course, I'm going to look. And there's a sriracha pizza, but, you know, we had already done it. So I think that that's validation that you're on the right track. But I think you do have to keep it fresh and new, even if it's not something you like. Because at the end of the day, it's not what you like. It's what your guests like. It's what's hot and trending. But you do have to try to stay ahead of the curve. And there may be some value in somebody doing it first, letting them take the risk, right? I know Old Chicago rolled out their Strombolis maybe a few months before we opened, and I was all mad. You know, I was like, dang it. But then everyone knew what Strombolis were, right? So that kind of paved the way for us. So, you know, try it. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can always take it off the menu, but be creative, be out there. I think that's part of the fun of competing, is that you do get to see what other people are doing, how they're sitting outside the box, or, you know, thinking outside the box. And it's just, I think it's great.
One of the things I do is I watch real carefully what all my teenage staff are making for their own meals.
When I have a roasted garlic barbecue chicken pizza on our menu, and our dishwasher made it. 15-year-old kid came out of the oven. It smelled so good. I ate it, and I said, "Make it again." You know, I mean, that was so good. It's on our menu. It's a great selling pizza. I mean,
We had Jamaican jerk sauce for wings, and the kitchen crew started making a pizza with Jamaican jerk sauce on the chicken breast, and so the Jamaican jerk pie has been on the menu now for about 3 years.
One of the things you just said with the competing, I get a lot of the toppings I put on my pizzas from competitions. I do a lot of competitions, and I found so many great like combinations and so many things that like you see that someone else does, and you know we've like avocado peppadew. I don't know if any of you guys ever had peppadews. Oh God, they're amazing. We have a pizza called a peppadew punch. It's like this little, I don't even know what it's from. If any of you had it, it's like a sweet, hot pepper. It's the only way I can describe it, and it is so good. But I found that in Vegas one year, and I found a lot of the pizzas we make, you know, we get from Napix or, you know, the U.S. Pizza Team Trials or wherever we compete, and I bring back those ideas and make pizzas and we play around, and likewise they see some things that, you know, we do and they take them. So it's just a big, almost like, yeah, you're competing and yeah, someone wins and loses, but everyone walks home a winner because you're getting so many ideas. And that's the true way of, I think, the best part of competing.
One of our fellow think tankers, Paul 7979, has got a deal now where he will contact his contacts in the industry and say, what's your most unique pizza, and he's putting them on as a pizza of the month. My El Pollo Loco pizza that won me third place in the Canadian Pizza Chef competition was his pizza of the month for July.
That's great. I've really got one more question, and that's, what is your hottest social media technique or tactic that you're running? Or just talk a little bit about your social media program.
Always put a video. I've tried putting clickbait, 10 reasons why you should have tomato sauce on your pizza. That doesn't work. Look at what I found with just a link. That doesn't work. You put a video on there, and my most recent one is hilarious. If you've got access to YouTube, look for Dancing in the Rain, Waiting for the Train. I was on my way home from a long day at the store. I have a dash cam because it's just better for insurance purposes to have one. And there's a train that comes through that cuts my delivery area in half. My drivers get stuck on one side or the other of that train every single day. Well, this was at the end of the day. It was during a thunderstorm. There was one car ahead of me, between me and the train, and it's a 25-minute wait. This guy gets out of his car and starts dancing. I put that on my Facebook page. I got 2,000 views in under 24 hours.
Anybody else?
A few years ago, we've been on Facebook for a while, and one way I think of describing sort of your inroads into the Facebook community is how many fans does your page have in relation to how big is your community. In other words, so we have about 2,500 fans, which is around 25% of our base population for our town. If I were in Denver, I wouldn't be that impressed with having 2,500, but in Steamboat, I feel pretty good about it. Several years ago, I literally had an experience at another local business, wasn't a restaurant, where I walked out conscious of the fact that I felt good about how I had been treated there. And I went back and on my Facebook page, I said, wow, I was just at One Stop Ski Shop and they took such great care of me there. I want, just sort of barfing out this, this compliment to another business. And then we sent them a couple pizzas. And from that, I then said, has anybody else had a good experience at any local business? And as a variation, do you work at a great local business? But tell the story here, and we will pick a couple of the names that are mentioned, and we'll bring them free pizza. So as a variation of what you described, sort of randomly bringing it, we identify, anytime I post this, and I do it several times a year, I'll get between 5 and 15 people that go on and say, wow, the guys at Steamboat Motors were great, or I was at Ace Hardware and they really took care of me, whatever it is. And then I pick 2 or 3 of them, and my manager calls them. We set up the time. They usually do it for a staff meeting or something like that. And I don't care how many it is. We did all the bus drivers in town. We did one of the biggest excavating companies in town. So I don't care if it's 3 employees or 50. We bring free pizza for all of them. And we make sure we get a picture of it, and that picture is posted on our Facebook page. If you go on my Facebook page, Soda Creek Pizza, and scroll down through time over the last several years, you will see lots of those photos. Every time we do that, we get dozens and dozens of likes and just sort of general recognition and feel good in the community. And as a secondary benefit, I think that by us sort of calling out the local nature of it, we reinforce the fact that we are local and one of a kind.
I think the more you can talk about other people, the better. Because I noticed in the beginning, we're like, hey, we got this. Hey, we got that. And people are like, yeah, scattered. But like to your point, you talk about another business, you talk about something great that somebody else did, and people just eat it up because, or, like the gentleman that does our Facebook, one of our bartenders does a great job, and he does happy birthday to, Frank Sinatra or whatever it may be, but he's always just throwing out trivia and general tidbits. Of course, you tout out when you're, we feed the National Guard. The military is really important to us, and we've got a National Guard armory just down the street. And we feed them probably once every 3 months. And they have a government amount that, they can pay. They can pay $10 a head, but we easily give them $25 to $30 a head because those are our boys. We got to take care of them. So, we'll tweet out, hey, feeding the National Guard today. And that always gets a great response. Anytime that you can share something else that another business did is great. Pretty much use the same kind of techniques that you do, but the less you talk about yourself, the better. For whatever reason that is, right? It just seems to be what works.
Nobody likes selfies on Facebook.
No, not really.
But
duck lips, those are great.
I've used social media. It's been a very, very, very important part of our business. And one of the things that I've done over the past was we've I'm a big engagement type of person, like what you just said, engage and discuss things. But we do I'll do I live in Cleveland. We have the Browns, Cavs, and Indians, our sports teams, and I'll do I'll do something like, pick the score of today's Browns game. If you see our Facebook page, you'll know that. I say, win 2 free large pizzas if you can correctly guess the score of today's Browns versus Steelers game. Guest must be in before kickoff. And I say something like, good luck and go Browns. Well, we'll get maybe like a couple thousand people that 24-10, 16-14, da 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 da. And what I do right before kickoff, I'll put, now's the time to order Master Pizza. Call your local Master Pizza now, and place your order, have it ready by kickoff. So about 2,000 people, literally, their phones buzz, and they pull it out, and we get hit. It's just like a little reminder, like, hey. So, there's so many benefits of social media. I could go hours about it, and I could talk about so many things that we do, but it's just so important. And I think if you, it's like what we talked about earlier. It's just it's technology. It will roll you over if you don't take it. And it's free, guys. It's free.
How do you combat Facebook's policy of, no longer allowing businesses to reach their whole audience? That, so it's only going to reach 200 people at a time. Do you just post more?
Promote your posts. Bite the bullet. Spend the money.
Is it really worth it? I mean, do you really see a result from it?
I use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. We use them all. So that message kind of gets circulated within our community. So they kind of all bounce to that page. Almost.
Be careful to use the demographic limitation tools and the geographic tools so that you really are not talking to somebody who's 2 states away.
Yeah.
But you can set your budget. So, and we typically, do like $20, and go for multiple rather than paying $100 to promote the heck out of one post. I'd rather promote 5 posts over a 2-week period for $20 each.
Richard, I thought maybe we could end this, and maybe you could talk to folks out there about the value of going onto the PMQ.com and the forum.
Okay, my first introduction to the think tank was back in 2005. I was green. I had never worked in a kitchen ever when I opened my store. I had run a pizza delivery business for 15 years. I had been in the back end of every pizza store in my town and watched everything that they did, but I had never worked a kitchen. I had a problem that I just couldn't figure out. And so I went, Google, what do I do? Well, I found the think tank. And I logged on to the think tank, and it wasn't 24 hours, and I had that problem solved. A problem that I'd struggled with for 3 months. And there it was, the obvious answer. Think tank, to me, is an extended family. Steve and I met tonight for the first time, but we have exchanged barbs, we have exchanged ideas. Sometimes he tunes me in and says, hey, you're not thinking right there, and I'm not. But it is probably the most valuable business tool that I have ever come across, and the most incredible group of people that I have ever come across. Years ago, I had a customer that was a special needs boy, and he loved it when we would show up at his door with a magnet for him to put on the fridge. And I got this idea, hey, if he likes my magnets, maybe he'll like some of the other guys' magnets. I put a post on the think tank. I ended up with over 40 square feet of magnets. Just the heart and soul of the pizza industry is something that I have never seen in any business that I have ever been in before. Think tank is a lifesaver. And that doesn't mean that we're a little round candy with a hole in it.
I think it's the next best thing to this, right? a next best thing to having all these great minds in one room. Now it's all in one spot and you can communicate across the country. I mean, Michael and I were just talking last night about challenges, and I'm like, how do you do this? How do you get past this? How do you fix this? So, the think tank is the next best thing to having him here in my shop. And I think what an amazing resource. Eric, I think, ends the day every night, on a think tank. Now, I'm not the one on there typing, but, I do read and, filter information through Eric, and he uses it, religiously. He's on there. So what a resource. And we've had many a challenge that we're like scratching our heads going, okay, well, neither one of us have done this before, right? He's in law enforcement. I was in corporate America, finance and stuff. And so there have been many a time where we were presented with a challenge and we got our answers there. So what an amazing resource. We're really blessed to have that. And I don't know how very many other industries that have that same resource. So hats off to PMQ for that.
Well, thank you. This is a wonderful experience. You guys are just a wealth of knowledge. And how about a round of applause for our panelists?
And thank